First tonight, an Augusta man is facing 9 years in prison for what prosecutors describe as years of severe domestic abuse. We want to warn you, the details in this case are disturbing. 41-year-old Brandon Toby was found guilty on multiple charges, including aggravated domestic violence, assault, and stalking. According to prosecutors, these offenses are from a 3-year relationship where the victim lived with, married, and had a child with Toby. Court documents show controlling behavior began when the couple moved in together and escalated to multiple instances of physical violence. The most severe charge comes from serious strangulation, referring to an incident of Toby choking the victim who was holding their infant, where he told her he wanted her to die. District Attorney Megan Maloney says, quote, "Strangulation is one of the most dangerous forms of domestic violence and is a well-recognized indicator of potentially lethal future violence. This case demonstrates how domestic abuse often escalates over time, moving from coercive control and intimidation to severe physical violence. Without investigator Baer's thorough follow-up investigation, this dangerous conduct from years earlier may never have come to light."